Hello. Right. So, around the world today, straight in, I guess, there's millions of people held in slavery. Human trafficking is rife. Yes, that includes the human trafficking gangs across the channel who get the people over here and then they find them once they're here and threaten them so they can commit crime here, etc. But somehow the left support this. And you have human trafficking all over the world. You have people being forced into sexual slavery, young girls, women, and young boys, by the way, as well, forced into sexual slavery. By this, it is what's going on now. It is a global problem. Meanwhile, our established church wants to pay reparations for historic slavery. Meanwhile, millions of people around the world are suffering, but let's pay back. What the hell is this about? There's people suffering, so you want to actually fork out money at people who are no longer suffering because they're dead. Sorry, this makes no sense. I'm now going to show you a clip from Reverend Brett Murphy. Excuse the jerkiness. I haven't got the equipment, and I was getting rather upset listening to what he had to say.
In Nigeria this past week, there has been more kidnappings of Christian groups, of Christian people in large groups, presumably by, it's pointed out here, by Muslim extremists. It's very sad. It's up to 600 people, including women and children, have been kidnapped just in the last week alone. I actually get quite emotional about this. I couldn't imagine being a pastor or a church member and coming to church with your little children. I think of my own two sons or the other lovely kids at church and having them abducted by militant Islamists. It'd be terrifying. And having no certainty, no guarantee they'll come back. You know, can the army, can the police get them back? Who knows? So people are now really getting upset. They're saying that they believe the Nigerian government is not responding adequately to a surge in these abductions. And the Christians of Nigeria are living in fear, absolute fear. A lot of these abductions take place from internally displaced people, so people who are already being persecuted for their Christian faith or are fleeing poverty and hardship, and they therefore move to other parts of Nigeria, and then they're swept up by these kidnappers. And you think of the amount of people trafficking. This week, Salvation Army said people trafficking is at an all-time high. And I don't need to go in the grisly details on this channel. I try to keep it pretty family friendly, but I think all adults who watch this channel know exactly what the people traffickers do with little ones and women. So this is very distressing, and it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. And reports out of the African nations say, despite some releases and escapes over time, there are still 100 girls that remain captive even to this day, and those were the ones that were kidnapped years ago. So it really is a very grim fate for anyone to be kidnapped by these people. But it's even worse for Christians. So please pray for them and for their protection. It's so distressing. The other Christian story about persecution that I'd like to bring to your attention this week is about harassment, threats, and discrimination by the Cuban government.
This in the same week that Wokeby and CofE, the archbishops, so-called, of Canterbury and York, inform us, make a statement saying that the laws against extremism are a threat to Muslim communities. First of all, I want to stand up for Muslim communities against this trial that they've come out with. The majority of Muslims in this country are not Islamists. I know some, I get to talk to some occasionally, and they are not Islamists. They are devout, and they are probably more devout than a lot of Christians I know, but that's by the by. More devout than me, some of them, in their faith, but that's by the by as well. And they do not believe in this Islamist ideology. And they also need protecting from Islamism. It's about protecting society as a whole. So this statement makes no sense. But it's come out in the same week as we have seen what's going on in Nigeria. This is how they could come out with such a statement when that's going on in Nigeria. Wokeby, I know he's no longer the head of the Anglican Communion because, well, 83% of the Anglican Communion have booted him and said we want nothing to do with you anymore. But you'd actually think he would actually try to repair the damage rather than come out with that statement again in support of Islamism, considering what's been happening in Nigeria, where Christians are being martyred, raped, etc. And it works like this to me. Jesus said, "To the least of these you have done to me." As a Christian, I choose to identify with Christ. Therefore, the 600 Christians who have been kidnapped this week, they're my people. That's the way I look at it. 600 of my people have been kidnapped. And we get a statement against the ideology that has led people to kidnap 600 of my people. So glad I left the Church of England.